so much. Thank you for having me. Thank you for allowing me to be here. I thank the ancestors whose shoulders I stand upon for allowing me to be here to know what I know and who have taught me and who have guided me along my way. But before I get started, in the African tradition, no one ever gets up and starts speaking without permission. It's just respect. It's respect for the house. It's respect for the people who came before you. So at this time, I'm going to ask our elder here, our senior here, our spiritual guider here. I'd like to ask Dr. Petra if I can begin.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you. You have to acknowledge your culture. You have to acknowledge where you came from. I would just like to say that I've been practicing Kwanzaa since the very, very early 80s when my mother and I, my mother, my brother, my sister, we were kind of the Kwanzaa kids. We would go to the different community centers and things like that and present Kwanzaa to people. So it's kind of ingrained in me. I like to, every year, Dr. Malana Karenga, who is the founder of Kwanzaa, he puts out a general message, and this year's message is celebrating and living Kwanzaa, sowing and harvesting seeds of good. This is the time of harvest. This is the time when we see what our accomplishments were for the year. This is the time where we see, where we lay it out on the table. We have the spread, we have the turkey, we have the whole thing. We have our family come over and we celebrate what has become of this year. And so that's what we're gonna do today. And I would like to invite Miss Mila to come up. You guys, Mila has been so good to me. I asked her like 15 minutes before we got started. And she was like, yeah. So we're just gonna set up our Kwanzaa table because we have 7 symbols, 7 principles, 7 days, and even 7 letters inside of Kwanzaa, because we all know 7 is the number of completion, and that is what is going to guide us along our way. So the first thing we're going to put down our mat, our nkeka. We want to make sure that we have a strong foundation for what we're building upon. If we have a shaky foundation, we have a shaky house. If we have a shaky frame of mind, we're going to have a shaky consciousness. The next thing we're going to put down is our kanara, which is our candle holder. It holds the mashuba saba, which is our 7 candles. And we're always going to have the black in the middle, which stands for our ground. We're going to have our red to the left, our red to the right, and our green to the left. We're always going to go from our red to our green. Through struggle, we have progress. Through work, we have reward. Next, we're going to have our mazal, which are our crops, which are our fruits and our vegetables. We're just displaying what we've harvested throughout the year. We're harvesting our seeds that we have planted. The next thing we're going to have is our muhundi, which is our corn. Now, for this, in your home, you have an ear of corn for every child you have in the house. But if you're like me and you don't have any children, you put out 1 ear of corn. That ear of corn just symbolizes the possibilities. It symbolizes the abundance. It symbolizes all those things that we want to come. The next thing we have is our kukombi shawamoja, which is our unity cup. If we were in a more intimate setting, we would all drink from the cup. We would all drink from the cup, symbolizing that we are one. We take from the same place. The next thing we have is our zawadi. These are our handmade gifts. Now, parents, lend me your ear. This is for promises made and promises kept. One more time. Promises made and promises kept. Not I'm finna go out to the store and I think she would like this. No. Oh, this is not, oh, I think she would love this. Oh, no, do they deserve it? Did they do what they say they were gonna do? My kid was acting up at school. Mom, I'm not going to do it anymore. Did you keep that promise? We have to reward the good things. We have to stop rewarding misbehavior. We have to say, you do good things, this will come to you. And this is our Kwanzaa table, 7 symbols, and thank you, Ms. Lee.
What a great goal.
So we're going to move to a handheld mic.
Okay. I was not ready for that. It's all good. Okay, so our first principle of Kwanzaa is umoja, which means unity, to strive for and maintain unity in our schools, in ourselves, in everything that we do. And she's lighting our black candle first. Thank you. Habaragani. Habaragani just basically means what's the news? What's the news of today? And we'll get to our news of the day. Our next principle, let me speak about umoja. We have to understand that things cannot be done on our own. We have people sitting in here right now who are going through things, and we haven't reached out. That's what we have prayer partners for. That's what we have our councils for, so that we're able to share. We're able to share in the building, and we're able to share in the harvesting. The next symbol is Kujishagalia, which is self-determination, to define ourselves, name ourselves, instead of being defined and named by others. I remember when I was a kid, and it's always bullying and things like that, and I would come home a little down, and my mother would say, how are you exhibiting self-determination? Are you allowing that person to name you, to put that label on you? Or are you going to define yourself? I'm not that, I'm this. I was watching Joel Osteen this morning. We have labels on us all the time. One label I put on myself all the time is, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I'm not all the time. I'm not ready. When are you going to be ready? How are you going to prepare yourself? But that's just the label that we put on ourselves. I don't have enough. I'm broke. That's a label we're putting on ourselves, but we have to be able to get ourselves out of that mind and put another label on ourselves. Thank you. Our next symbol is Ujima, which is collective work and responsibility, to build and maintain our community together, to make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems, and to solve them together. Hello, Core Council. Stewardship, visioning, all of those things that we come to. It's time for us to move. Where are we gonna go? How much is it gonna cost? What are we gonna do? We have to come up with those answers together. Our next symbol is Ujima, which is cooperative economics, to build and maintain our stores, shops, and other businesses and profit from them together. Hello, Impact Dallas, CSL. I remember when I was a kid, I had a little money burning a hole in my pocket. I was, Mama, let's go. Where are we gonna go? And then she would ask me, where are we going? Who are you gonna spend your money with? How many times is your dollar gonna circulate into your community before it goes out to somebody else? How much richer are we gonna make us? How are we gonna do that? How can we control our dollar? How can we control our economics so that it benefits us first? And that's an important thing to think about. And at this time, we're gonna stop lighting because we only light up to the day that we're in. Just like with Hanukkah, we don't light past the day. Our next symbol is Nia, which is purpose. To make our collective vocation the building and developing of our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness. Somehow we've gotten away from that. Other countries sometimes don't see us the way they used to, especially with the way that our government has sometimes reacted in our national disasters. We have to get back to that original greatness so that we can see ourselves in that light. Goes back to defining and labeling. Our next principle is creativity. To always do as much as we can in the way that we can in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited it. Hello, decorating. Take up, put down. Let's make it look how it usually looks. Just simple, very simple. And our last principle is Imani, which is faith. To believe with all of our hearts in our parents, in our people, in our teachers, in our leaders, and for the righteousness and victory of what we are working for. Now those are our 7 symbols, our 7 principles, our 7 days, our 7 days of Kwanzaa. Now we're gonna end with Harambe. Harambe just simply means pull together as one. Unite, pull together as one. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna say it 7 times. We're gonna say it 7 times. We're gonna, if you guys could stand up for me, please. We're gonna say it 7 times. Harambe, Harambe. And then on the 7th one, we're gonna hold it down in that tight fist and we're gonna say Harambe. Because we know that our fingers, all separated, can't accomplish. We bring them all together in that mighty fist and we can accomplish what we will. Okay? Are we ready? Yes. All right. The word is Harambe. Are we starting up? Ready? And Harambe! 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 Thank you.
How perfect it is to end this season, this festival, this process of celebrating the light.
Did the on-off switch, check that, I'm sorry.
It always helps. How perfect is it to end the season of celebrating the light, of celebrating and honoring us becoming the light by talking about and thinking about and honoring Kwanzaa. If you've been with us over the last few weeks, you know that we started this season by noticing that even in the story of the Grinch, we have the opportunity to go from darkness to light, lightness of spirit, lightness of love, to go from judgment to love. We stepped then into honoring and learning about Hanukkah and being reminded that God is our source and we are never going to be left without that which we need. And so we have no reason to sit in the darkness of fear when we can step into the light of there's always enough, that God is always providing for us. We have the opportunity to consider Advent as that time of stepping consciously and intentionally into the joyful anticipation of the love and the light to come, and that we can choose to go step by step through a process that enters us and births us into our next way of being. And of course, we celebrated the solstice, which also reminded us that no matter how long the darkness is, it is leading us to light. And today we end that process in this series by paying attention to the 7 principles and the 7 candles of Kwanzaa, being reminded that with each candle, with each principle, we light what we started with, which was the Christmas holiday. Lighting and relighting the Christ consciousness within us. And Kwanzaa gives us actual principles and values to practice. So what in many of our traditions in our families we focused on during the season of Christmas only, here at the Center for Spiritual Living Dallas, what we have been gifted with and what we share with one another is that rebirthing the Christ consciousness is all about what we know, yes, but also how we live. Ernest Holmes has a great quotation that I'm going to paraphrase, but what he says in the Science of Mind textbook is that it is great to know spiritual principle. It's great to know spiritual principle, and it is great to be able to teach it, to know it well enough to teach it, but it is more valuable to practice it. And so all of our celebrations remind us that there is a practice. There is something for us to do once we know. There is something for us to share once we have been given the truth. And everyone in the room is familiar with us saying often that we are new thought. And we love new thought, but let us not forget that new thought is based on ancient wisdom. And today we have the opportunity to tap into the ancient wisdom that comes from African ancestry, just as we have tapped into the ancient wisdom of all other traditions during this season and throughout the year. So I invite you to join me in capping off this fabulous season of celebrating the light by going into prayer. Harambe. Let us all pull together. For I'm reminded in this moment that there is only one power, there is only one presence. And so that one power and that one presence is breathing life and experiencing life through me and through everyone present. That one life, that one light is shining through me, as me, and through and as everyone present. I stand here in this moment, taking a deep breath and relaxing into a commitment to be the example of umoja, unity, to be the example of self-determination, to be the example of collective work and responsibility, to step into the light as cooperative economics, and to be clear about my purpose. To unleash Kuumba, the creativity of spirit itself, coming forth to make this world a better place. And to step into Imani, faith. as my way of being in this world. This is my intention. And I'm so grateful for knowing that it is through ancient wisdom that my new thought creates something fresh, some new expression of spirit in the world. Take a breath. And release that breath into the power and the presence of God, into the power and the presence of ancestors, knowing that every ancestor of every tradition is present right now, right here in this space, saying yes to spirit, yes to life, yes to the light in every tradition. Amen. Ashe. And together we say, and so